case, Brian, that on the 16th of December, when the Ducks were at Air Canada Center, Bernier was one of the best players on the ice. The Ducks peppered him with 42 shots in that game, but he was outstanding, making 40 saves.
But it's an easier game to play for a goaltender when your team is scoring 6 in the opposite net.
The Leafs in their road whites possess off the opening draw. Van Riemsdyk chips it ahead, and it's chopped in deep. Go Leafs, go. You can hear it from the road fan base here at Honda Center tonight as Getzlaf steams in and wires it right through the crease. Fowler keeps it deep. The wraparound from Maroon is stopped by Bernier.
Yeah, good start for Anaheim, and Ryan Getzlaf gets the legs moving through the neutral zone, and he is dangerous on the attack. Watch Fowler get the puck behind the net. This is where the Ducks want to play. Down low, below the circles. Pat Maroon with the attempted wraparound here, and Bernier is going to seal off the lower part of the net. No chance that Maroon is going to be able to slide that puck underneath him. But good start for Anaheim. They get the cycle going early. They get pucks in deep. That's really what the coaching staff is looking for throughout this game tonight.
A bit of a new look top line for the Leafs as Tyler Bozak is out to center the number 1 line. And a good chance there right on the doorstep for Rickard Rakell, who just couldn't get it on net. Bozak used to play on a line that would have Van Riemsdyk and Kessel. Now he's playing with Winnick and Kessel. Here's one of the moves made by Peter Horacek, was to shake up his top line, split up his big scorers, and now the puck covered at the other end by Frederik Andersen.
Who's the hottest guy in the Ducks lineup? It's Rickard Rakell, and right off the bat, he gets another opportunity. 4 points last game, by far the best game of his professional career. I asked him today about confidence, if he was a guy that thought that confidence meant everything to him, and he said, I believe confidence plays a huge role in the way you perform on the ice, and you got to be a pretty confident guy going into tonight's game.
I was joking with him after yesterday's practice about how the Jets didn't know about Anaheim's secret weapon, and a couple of his different teammates stepped right up and said, we've all seen it in practice. We knew it was there. So perhaps Jackman can show it a little more regularly in game action. The Leafs have dropped 9 of their last 12. Part of the reason Randy Carlyle was shown the door. Peter Horacek now behind the Toronto bench as an interim coach for just the 4th time. Paul Mary was alone in front of the Toronto net, but unable to get it to him. Coming up the left boards was Rennie Bourque.
Stefan Robidas stepped up and tried to hammer Rennie Bourque and left his team a little bit vulnerable. The Ducks almost get a 2-on-1.
Yeah, Leafs got away with it. They were in mid-change at the time. Fowler in full flight has his shot deflected over top of the goal. Retrieved on the near wall nicely by Devontae Smith-Pelly. Spin move by Jackman, unable to bring it to the front with him, but he keeps it alive. Jackman had a goal on Sunday in the come-from-behind shootout win against Winnipeg, his 3rd of the season. He's Smith-Pelly and Nate Thompson making up the 4th line tonight for Bruce Boudreau's Ducks. They'll wave the icing as Fowler's back to get it in the Anaheim zone.
Toronto Maple Leafs lost their last game 2-0 in Los Angeles, and they talked about that game almost like they'd won it because they played a good defensive game, and that's what Peter Horacek is looking for from his guys tonight. I mean, they're trying to clean up their act in the defensive zone and play less of a high-risk style.
Kind of a bit of irony, don't you think? The Ducks have not been winning all that conventionally, and then a Toronto team comes in, an awful loss, as you said. It sounded like they felt good about it. In fact, Jonathan Bernier said, we'll take that.
Really, I was quite surprised when I heard some of the players' comments, and I think it speaks to where the Leafs are at mentally right now. I mean, if you're satisfied taking a loss in this league at any time, well, maybe you've got bigger problems than just firing a head coach. I think that gives you a real insight into the Toronto locker room.
6th in the Atlantic Division are the Leafs coming into tonight. They are 10th overall in the East. They are on the outside looking in, 5 points back of Boston for the 2nd and final wild card position in the Eastern Conference. No score, 3.5 gone at Honda Center. Sammy Vatanen, the shootout hero on Sunday, moves it ahead to Rickard Rakell. Offside are the Ducks as Cogliano snuck in on the left side a little ahead of the play. We talked about it at the top, Brian. Anaheim has not had success against the Leafs in the history of the franchise.
Look at the last 6 games. That's almost 5 goals a game that Toronto has averaged head-to-head against the Ducks. And there's been a lot of games that have not, frankly, been all that close. And so this is one of those games, inside the Anaheim locker room, Bruce Boudreau has talked a lot about it is time, fellas. We are due against the Toronto Maple Leafs.
The Leafs have outscored the Ducks 13-5 in the last 3 meetings. And of course, Toronto native Bruce Boudreau, whether he'll admit it or not, will put a lot of importance on this game.
We talked about Matt Bolesky being a healthy scratch for this game. I'm sure it was a very difficult decision to take your top goal scorer out of the game in order to send a message. One, that he wants Bolesky to be better. Number 2, that he wants his team to start playing 60 minutes once again. And so think about the message the scratching of Matt Bolesky sends to other people in the Ducks lineup who haven't really performed at the level that they have been expected to. Anyone can be scratched from this lineup because this team is so deep.
Anderson puts it up on the glass and away come the Ducks. Into the middle, Bourque finds Kessler as centerman. Schemes to the corner, put it in front looking for Palmieri. Was tipped away, comes high in the zone, and David Clarkson starts back. Taken away on the back check. What a play by Kessler.
Boy, he had the wheels going through the neutral zone there, and he caught David Clarkson pretty easily.
Richard Panik takes it back for Morgan Riley, and his backhand bid is swatted all the way down. This will be an icing call against Anaheim. Wonderful play by Kessler just a moment ago.
Well, he had the wheels going. I mean, look where Ryan Kessler is, all the way behind the net, and he is just going to put his head down, and look at him gain so quickly on Clarkson. Boy, he made that look so easy. Lifted the stick, strips him of the puck, and the Ducks go the opposite way.
Brian, Sunday against Winnipeg, Kessler 21 of 28 in the face-off circle. He's been terrific. He wins this one. But when's the last time you even remember a player taking 28 face-offs in a game for the Ducks? Not only was he dominant, but I mean, he basically took half the draws in the game.
Well, why not? I mean, coaches do tend to go with a centerman when he has the hot hand.
He had 9 shots on goal in the game as well. He did not end up figuring on the score sheet, but boy, did he have an impact. And Kessler has moved into the top 10 in the league in the face-off circle on the season, on the strength of a good run over the course of the last couple of weeks. Back his last 3 games, he's 71% as the Leafs go offside into the Anaheim zone.
Good rush up the ice by Toronto, and on the back check, there's Pete Horachek. This is a role that he has been thrust into before as an interim head coach. He did it once previously with the Florida Panthers. I always think of Horachek, John, as the guy who for so many years was Barry Trotz's assistant with the Nashville Predators. When that young team had great success, they've talked a lot about more teaching going on right now with a relatively young team in Toronto. They've added Steve Staios to their coaching staff.
Staios working primarily with the young defensemen, Gardner and Morgan Riley so far. I first met Peter Horachek when he was an assistant coach in Orlando in the International Hockey League. That goes back a good 15-plus years. Here's a 2-on-1 for the Leafs. Bozak gets it over, and Anderson gets over the shot off the outside of the goal.
That is the Toronto Maple Leafs right there in a nutshell. Their forwards cheating a little bit out of the defensive zone, but the Ducks getting caught with an outlet pass that springs a 2-on-1 opportunity. That's what Toronto was all about. Quick strike offense off of a turnover.
That was Kessel, who has done so much damage to the Ducks. A month ago in Toronto, he had 2 goals and 3 points in the Leafs win at Air Canada Center. Kessel top 10 in the league in scoring again this year, coming into tonight's game. And the Ducks still scoreless as the Leafs leading goal scorer grazed the outside of the net. Puck chipped ahead, and Smith gets it into the Anaheim zone. Panik reaching, and all kinds of trouble for Rickard Rakell, but he does possess the puck, and then he supports down low to get a nice little reversal from Fowler. Outlet into the middle of the ice, and Silverberg has it knocked off his stick by Jake Gardner.
It is noticeable with Raquel how much better he is skating and the kind of additional pressure he is trying to put on in the forecheck.
Trevor Smith feathers it to the corner. Mike Santorelli takes a hit, but it's kept in by Roman Polak. Motion from behind the net, loses it, and here's Van Riemsdyk. Back to the point for Morgan Riley, and he couldn't get the handle on it. 5th overall pick in the 2012 draft, retreats into his own zone. Roman Polak missed 10 games with a knee injury, was not in the lineup when the Ducks were in Toronto almost a month ago. He's got it right now. Short little pass finds Nazem Kadri into the Anaheim zone. Pulls it in, stick save, Anderson. Riley keeps it deep behind the net for Van Riemsdyk. The cycle going there with Trevor Smith, but he can't return the favor. Nate Thompson the other way. Into the Toronto zone. Cross-ice pass. Palmieri can't get it off his skate.
A good try. They had Lindholm driving the center lane, but here come the Leafs again.
2-on-1 again. Kadri unable to connect as Van Riemsdyk was trying to find him.
Well, what a play by Sammy Vatanen. He knocks that puck right out of midair.
Vatanen, great pass across. A little too hot to handle for Kessler at the other end. Bort goes to the front of the net. Kessler feeds it to the point. Stoner slides it across. The return pass picked off. David Booth caught by Stoner. Still comes up with the puck. Takes the shot and missed everything. Booth has 1 goal all year. It came against the Ducks at Air Canada Center. Troy Bodie, the one-time Duck, gets it back to the point. And a long wrist shot by Franson is covered by Anderson.
And now Toyo Tigers
Things are picking up on the center. No score between the Leafs and Ducks.
We got a scoreless game. What a shift that was for Sammy Vatanen. Very eventful, to say the least. Here's Sammy Vatanen up against the boards right here, trying to pinch in. Gets beat on the pass. Ryan Getzlaf dives in, and now it's a 2-on-1 break for the Leafs. And Kessel, the best goal scorer Toronto has in the lineup, rips it off the side of the net. Then Vatanen defends the 2-on-1 and makes a great defensive play. Later on, same shift. His cross-ice pass is picked off. That leads to another scoring opportunity for Toronto. So, you know, the good and the bad all together with Sammy Vatanen there on that one shift alone.
You know, I spoke to him this morning at the morning skate and asked him how much it meant to score that game-winning goal in the shootout on what was Teemu tribute night here as the Leafs go offside. And Vatanen surprised me a little bit, Brian. He said it meant an awful lot to him. He said, when I first came here, he said, obviously Teemu, it was a big deal to play with him, but he said he and Saku really took me under their wing and really helped me out a lot. And I said, well, how so? On the ice or off? And he said, actually more off the ice than on. And I think that's the hidden side of hockey that we don't talk about or we don't see. Fans don't understand it a lot. He said it made it so much easier for me to come here and play.
And that was a great moment. Sammy Vatanen with a shootout winner last game on Teemu Tribute Night. You know, Sammy is a guy, and we talked about the addition of Trent Yondy to the coaching staff, and Trent is a guy that wants his young defensemen, Lindholm and Vatanen, to always be pushing the pace. They're going to make mistakes sometimes, but in order to have them generate offense, he wants to continue to give them the confidence to be able to feel like they can always jump up into the play.
Incidentally, Vatanen also told me in the American League he was 0 for 7 in shootouts in his career.
I wonder if Bruce Boudreau knew that.
Ben Lovejoy had just asked him on the bench. Ben told me, "Do you ever go in these?" And he said, "Sammy told me, no, I'm terrible at this." And he said within a minute, he was on the ice taking the shot, and he had the game winner. Here's a blocked shot by Kadri, and he'll force the issue, but loses his footing in the neutral zone. Fowler easily able to play it across for the aforementioned Lovejoy. He puts it around the boards and in deep. Stefan Robidoux battling for it. He and Nate Thompson along the end boards. Gardner comes over to help out. Thompson comes up with a loose puck though. Richard Panik all over him. Jackman taps it below the goal line and goes and gets it. This is where Bruce Boudreau wants his team to play tonight, below the circle. Boschman hammers one, blocked by Panik. And back come the Leafs. He drops it off for David Clarkson. The former Devil sends it wide of the Anaheim goal. And a good, quick little reversal by Smith Pelly. And Anaheim able to escape the zone. Gardner has it again. Former first-round pick of the Ducks. Chips it in, pursues it, but Lindholm plays it past him. And a penalty coming up to the Leafs. as Jackman was tripped. Possible 2-on-1. Here comes Raquel, tries to make the pass and
two
spun
penalties
around.
there.
We are going to get 2 penalties. Cogliano was spun around. He went in to Bernier, and we'll see, but I think the Leafs may be 2 men down when we come back.
Penalty box. The Ducks are going to be 5-on-3 for a full 2 minutes. Here are the calls. Puck comes up the wall. A little bit of a chip play. And you can see that Jackman is upended there by Trevor Smith. And then on the 2-on-1, Rickard Rakell is looking for Andrew Cogliano away from the plate. A little hook on the hands will send Richard Panik to the box as well. What a chance here for an Anaheim power play that looked good last game, scored a couple of power play goals, and may have a little bit of the mojo back.
Came up empty against the Leafs on 2 opportunities at Air Canada Center. Vatanen, great shot pass, and Kessler didn't get that much on it. He's able to retrieve it though, and Getzlaf and Vatanen again across the top. Quickly down low. Getzlaf finds Kessler. Quick shot handled by Bernier, and the rebound spun the length of the ice by Roman Polak.
You know, well read by the goaltender Bernier. In a 5-on-3, the goaltender doesn't over-challenge, stays a little bit deeper in his crease, and Bernier played that one perfect.
Vatanen, all the way below the goal line, uses the end boards to find Maroon. He has it taken away by Dion Phaneuf, and the Toronto captain slides it all the way back. Minute 15 left in the 2-man advantage for the Ducks. Perry winds it up and comes up right wing into the Toronto zone. Drops it off. Maroon tries to lay it back for Vatanen. And then back to Maroon, who slides it over wide open as Getzlaf. Into the slot, he fans on it. Pursues it to the corner. Held in at the point by Vatanen. Over for Kessler. Patient Anaheim power play they can afford to be. Still 50 seconds of a 2-man advantage. Kessler near circle. Looks up. Back to Vatanen. Across. One-timer by Getzlaf. Deflected out of play.
Good save again by Bernier. Anaheim a little bit too predictable. Bernier knows that big threats for the Ducks are right-handed shots who are going to set up on his blocker side. We saw Kessler denied by Bernier. That time it was Getzlaf denied by the Toronto netminder, and he was in great position for both of those cross-ice passes. John, I will say this. If you're not in the eyes of the goaltender and he sees those passes, he has a chance to get across. More front net presence will take away the eyes of the goaltender and make it more difficult for him on plays like that.
4 right-handed shooters for the Ducks on this power play, and Getzlaf whistles it wide. Vatanen retrieves it. Again to Getzlaf. Perry, bottom of the right circle. Back to Getzlaf. Big save, Bernier, and it sticks to the Toronto netminder.
Yeah, Getzlaf hammers this, and this is a great stop. And Bernier, all he has to do is kind of clamp those elbows down. Watch him looking around Pat Maroon, but he does a great job. Boy, a great, what I call a technical save by the goaltender Bernier. Watch him just close the door by clamping that right elbow down, and that puck sticks to him. It's an impressive piece of work by Bernier. That time, Maroon was a big factor in front of the net.
Second power play unit comes out for the final 25 seconds of a 2-man advantage. Raquel loses the draw. Ducks try to outnumber the Leafs in the corner, and they do get it back. Palmieri misses Fowler, however, at the line. Quickly back in comes Kyle Palmieri. Pulls up on the near boards. Back to the point, Fowler. Shovels it over. Lindholm, shot pass to Palmieri. Hit the post! Comes back to Lindholm. I think the Ducks thought it went in, and now Lindholm scores! Somebody scored. That's all we know.
Well, here's the first attempt by Kyle Palmieri. Everyone thought it was in on the ice for the Ducks. They're going to take a look at that one, I guarantee you. And then Hampus Lindholm, who had raised his arms, then just grabs the next puck and says, "Thank you very much. I'll rip it up into the top corner." Good screen in front of the net.
Well, now the officials, as you mentioned, Brian, are over checking to see if Kyle Palmieri's shot, the initial shot, went in.
I thought it did go in.
I thought it did as well.
The players on the ice thought that Palmieri's shot went in. I was watching Hampus Lindholm celebrate the Palmieri shot. And you know what? It's in.
Yeah,
it looks to me
so.
like it hits that camera right at the back of the net. And that's what they're reviewing right now. The overhead is going to tell us right here.
Oh, yeah.
That's in the back of the
It
net.
hit the post in the back.
Yep.
That's why Lindholm had his arms raised. So Hampus gets to celebrate, but he celebrates Paul Mary's goal and not his own.
Watch Hampus Lindholm here. At the blue line, he thinks this puck is in. He was actually pointing upwards and pointing to the referee. Then he got a hold of the second one and ripped it up into the top corner. But this is going to be Kyle Palmieri's goal and a power play goal for the Ducks. They'll give them a 1-0 lead. And it'll add a few extra seconds on to their power play opportunity as well, John.
So in a perfect world, it'd be 2-0 Ducks. But I guess they'll only get credit for one. And right now, that's what the officials are over talking about. There's no question it was Palmieri's goal. That what they're checking is the clock to see how much time to put back up. And I think it'll be roughly 5 more seconds.
Yeah, and so they'll have a reduced 5-on-4 power play for the next 4 or 5 seconds or so.
After video replay, the first shot by Palmieri of Anaheim scored. That leaves 4 seconds on the clock for the penalty against Toronto, so they will serve one player for 4 seconds.
Well, as you said, Brian, a very abbreviated 5-on-4. I'm not too worried about Brad Watson's play-by-play career right now, so I'm feeling a little more secure. But it is Kyle Palmieri who gets the goal.
You know what? Second unit power play goal, too, John, which is significant for the Ducks. We saw Raquel do it last game. Palmieri does it tonight's game. So the first unit still looking to get untracked a little bit, but the second power play unit all of a sudden has become very dangerous.
So the Ducks lead 1-0 on the strength of the Kyle Palmieri power play goal. For Palmieri, his 8th of the season, his 3rd on the power play. And he has a pretty hot hand now. 10 points in his last 11 games. 5 goals in that span. The all-important first goal, at least where Anaheim is concerned. They are 19-0-5 this season when they score first. Robidas swats it out of the Toronto zone, and Lindholm carries it right back in. Lindholm into the middle looking for Silverberg. Loose. Cogliano couldn't get there. Chopped away. Back comes Bozak. His pass ahead for Kessel on his off wing. He hits the brakes. Finds a trailer coming right off the bench. Morgan Riley, and he rattles the high glass. Reversed up the wall, and Riley didn't give up the point, so he's able to hold the zone. Little give and go with Kessel. Slides it over. Polak with a shot. No traffic in front of Anderson, who kicks it all the way out to Jackman. He angles it in, and Devontae Smith-Pelly gives it back to him. Jackman lost the handle as he got to the top of the crease. Thompson gets it back behind the net. And the Leafs start back. Kadri from center, and that's an easy glove save for Anderson, who will hold on. Well, the Ducks scored twice in 5 seconds, but only one of them counts, and they have the lead.
Well, Anaheim has been getting their chances here. The 1-0 lead. Tim Jackman, little chip off the boards. He goes to the middle of the ice and then accepts a great pass from Devontae Smith-Pelly. Loses the handle, however. I want to show you Hampus Lindholm. He's way back here. This is on the Palmieri goal. Just keep an eye on Lindholm. When Palmieri buries it, look at the defenseman. He's already celebrating. He knows it's in, but the whistle hasn't gone. He keeps playing. Rips it up into the top corner. And they had some fun over on the Anaheim bench, kidding one another during our last television timeout, both Hampus Lindholm and Kyle Palmieri.
Here's a turnover, and Kessel trying to get to the front of the net is backhanded tonight. Stoner keeps it alive. Rennie Bort, who was a healthy scratch on Sunday, back in the Anaheim lineup tonight, keeps it alive for a moment before it's deflected and goes up over the glass and out of play. Time for tonight's Mercedes-Benz Star Watch, brought to you by the Mercedes-Benz dealers of Southern California. A couple of big-time goal scorers on the ice tonight.
Well, Phil Kessel, remember he hit that great chance earlier. He hit the outside of the net. He is a pure sniper. And we've talked a lot about Corey Perry coming back from that lower body injury, not being quite up to 100%. And we're going to see a kind of an impact on this game Corey Perry is able to have. I don't think, John, it looks to me like he's just not up to full speed just yet. Remember, it was Perry that was the NHL's Player of the Month for the month of October. Then he got the mumps. And then, of course, he had the lower body injury that kept him out of the lineup for an extended period. So he's finding his way back into top form.
He told me Sunday was the best he's felt since he returned to the Anaheim lineup. He's been back for 5 games. He had 7 shots on goal in that game and played over 19 minutes. The most by far he's played since he returned from that lower body injury. Leafs use the middle of the ice to come out of the zone, and David Booth angles it in. 9th-year man out of Michigan State to the corner. One of 4 different American-born players on the Leafs roster for tonight's game. 3 of them played at the U.S. developmental program in Ann Arbor, Michigan. An icing call goes against Anaheim here. And then Perry slashes it away from Phaneuf after the whistle.
Corey Perry gave a little yell. We've seen that play a lot, the alley-oop pass from Ryan Getzlaf, when Corey Perry is stretching the ice surface and thinks he's got a half step on the Toronto defense. It didn't click that time, but it does force your opponent's defense to really be aware that if they try and cheat too far inside the offensive zone blue line, they could be caught on that long pass from Getzlaf.
Puck squirts into the middle of the ice off the face-off win, and Anaheim has to just get it out of harm's way. Jake Gardner retreats with it. Gardner played 3 years at the University of Wisconsin after the Ducks took him in the first round of the 2009 entry draft. Daniel Winnick, another former Duck, has it taken away. Winnick spent the last 2 seasons here with Anaheim before signing in the offseason as an unrestricted free agent with the hometown Leafs. Bozak leans below the goal line in the Anaheim zone. Lovejoy and Raquel drape him on either side. Kessler loses it up the boards. Silverberg can't beat him to it. Raquel into the middle to break up a centering pass as he supports Lovejoy. Winnick continues to dig for it. It's just a hard-working shift as it squirts into the middle to the line, not out. Good effort by Cogliano, but Morgan Riley kept it in. Riley has it now far side of the zone. Anaheim doing a good job keeping the Leafs to the perimeter on this shift, despite the fact that they can't get possession. Now they do come up with it. Cogliano splits the D, got it to Silverberg, but he didn't field it cleanly. Drops it off for Raquel, who very nearly tipped it around Roman Polak.
And there you see the confidence for Raquel to try and make that move. Almost works, would have created a point-blank scoring chance. Something he would not have tried a couple of weeks ago, I don't think.
Jackman rolls up the left boards to keep the play alive. Now for Smith-Pelly. Picked up by Polak below the goal line. Smith-Pelly using his body to shield the puck, finds an open Francois Beauchamp, the former Leaf, with a shot that's tipped just wide. As again, he had Lindholm coming all the way from the far point. Booth takes a hard hit from Beauchamp, and it's all the Leafs can do to clear the zone. Lindholm didn't field it cleanly, so Toronto will get changes. 2:45 to go first period. Kyle Palmieri has the game's only goal. The Ducks lead Toronto 1-0. Shot 6-5 in favor of Anaheim. In 3 games since taking over as the head coach on an interim basis, Peter Horachek's Toronto Maple Leafs have given up an average of 12 shots a game less than they did through their first 40 games this season. And it seems to be following suit here late in the first period as the Leafs go offside and tempers flare.
Well, David Clarkson's been running around a little bit. He's a hard-nosed player, and he's trying to be quite irritating, I would categorize it, early on in this game. And Clayton Stoner had seen enough of that, and he went over and challenged David Clarkson.
It's pretty much been about all Clarkson has contributed since coming over as a free agent 2 years ago. He's played over 100 games, Brian, and he has just 14 goals. And for a guy making over $5 million a year, I think the Leafs expected a little more from David Clarkson.
They expected a lot more from Clarkson. He had that one enormous year where he got 30 for the New Jersey Devils back in the 11-12 season, and based on that, he was able to get that enormous contract from Toronto, but he hasn't come close to matching that kind of offensive production. And they've got a lot of dough tied up in David Clarkson
For a long time.
7-year, almost $37 million deal that he signed.
5 more years after this year. He scored 15 in the lockout-shortened season where he played only 48 games the year prior to his free agent signing. As I mentioned, he scored 14 since in 103 games with the Leafs. Santorelli upended down low in the Anaheim zone as Palmieri uses his skates to keep it alive. Nice centering pass, and Kessler went behind the back, and the pass behind Botten.
Sammy Botten was sneaking down from the point. We've seen that a lot in this game from the Ducks defense. And obviously there's been some concerns in Toronto about their defensive zone coverage that Anaheim has watched all the videotape and they will try and exploit in this game tonight.
Well, here's a turnover. Perry finds space off the glove of Bernier. And then Getzlaf checked into the net. That knocks it off the moorings and brings a stoppage.
Well, this is a good bid by Corey Perry, and he is looking a little more comfortable here. This is vintage Perry, where he gets the head up, he's looking and measuring the goaltender the whole time. I don't know if that puck actually would have gone on net. Bernier still managed to get a little piece of the glove on it, but such an important part of the Ducks in the last half of the regular season will be for Corey Perry to regain that scoring touch.
Brian, you know, we talk about that lower body injury with him. Perry was not named to the All-Star team, so you're about 10 days away from a 5-day additional rest for Corey Perry. That may actually work in Anaheim's favor, I would think.
Well, you know, it's funny because, you know, in the pregame show, I was talking about the fact that some very angry fans were upset that Freddie Anderson was not named to the All-Star game. From an Anaheim perspective, I know he would have loved to have gone, and what a great honor it would have been. But from a Ducks perspective, it's not a bad thing for Freddie Anderson to get a little extra rest here during the All-Star break.
Booth
Won't surprise me, however, sorry, John, that he is added to the team because there are a couple of goalies that were named that have suffered some injuries.
He covers the bid by Booth, who tried to bring it to the front of the net. Join the Wild Wingers Kids Club presented by UC Irvine for just $25 this season. And you'll get a Wild Wing bobblehead, calendar, light-up bracelet, a Ben Lovejoy t-shirt, and be invited to Kids Club party. Sign up at wildwingerskidsclub.com. Face off to the right of Frederik Andersen. Just over a minute to go in the first, and Trevor Smith wins the draw. Gardner's shot may have hit Smith, though. And it's curled out of the zone by Silverberg. Kessler can't track it down, and Gardner coming back takes it off the boards. Feeds it on right wing, and Robidoux rims it around and in. Gardner left point, goes to one knee, slides it over for Robidoux. The one-time Duck has his bid tipped over top by David Clarkson, who was right in Anderson's kitchen. Ducks clear, and back to get it is Robidoux. 3-year free agent contract for Stefan after playing just 14 regular season games for the Ducks a season ago, following a trade deadline deal from Dallas. Smith gets it to the net. Boy, Anderson was looking the other way and made the save with his stick. Bit of a changeup from Trevor Smith.
Like he took his eye off it for a split second, and then when it arrived on his doorstep, it surprised him, and at the same time he was alert enough to deflect it with his stick into the corner.
Final seconds of the period as Silverberg tips one deep into the Toronto zone, and the Ducks are going to take the lead to the locker room after one period of play this season. When that's been the case, they're 13-0-2.
Yeah, and they've been a great team when they are front runners, of course, this year. It is interesting to me, this opening period tonight is what tonight's game is all about. If you turn pucks over and if you get players caught, the Leafs are a great transition team. Make them play in their own end, though, and they have some real defensive deficiencies.
Shots even in the opening period, 7 apiece for the Ducks and the Toronto Maple Leafs, but where it matters most on the big board above center ice, Anaheim 1, Toronto 0. We go downstairs to Mark Rogandino and Guy Hebert.
Ready to start the second period here at Honda Center. I'm behind the Ducks bench with Brad Lauer. The Toronto Maple Leafs, the highest scoring team in the second period in the NHL. What do you have to do to contain them here in this next 20 minutes?
It's something we talked about. They really thrive on transition in the neutral zone. They want to turn the puck over, so we ought to make sure we manage it. We got to get the pucks in deep and get on our forecheck.
Brad, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Johnny, send it back up to you.
Thank you, Kent. In fact, the third highest scoring team all season are the Toronto Maple Leafs. They can explode on you at any moment. In nearly half their games this season, Brian, they've scored 4 goals or more, and by today's NHL standards, that equals a lot of victories.
It is interesting since Horacek took over. I mean, there has been this huge influence in terms of cleaning up the act in the defensive zone, maybe becoming a little bit less dangerous. If you're the third highest scoring team and you're not satisfied with the way that you are positioned in the standings, it tells you where your focus needs to be. It's pretty simple.
Perry gets one to the net off the boards with Maroon parked in front. Now takes it off the back of the goal and spins with it to the near corner. Rifles it out high, Getzlaf covering the point across. Fowler's shot, got through, held by Bernier. And a little hand fighting between Phaneuf and Maroon at the side of the goal.
Remember that little play we showed you in between periods with Hampus Lindholm going right down to the top of the net? Ben Lovejoy very active on that shift. And so the Ducks have actually gone back into the locker room, looked at tapes, seen how that the defensemen are not being properly picked up by the wingers up high by Toronto in the defensive zone. They're trying to take advantage of that here.
Leafs control. Winnick can't work it up the boards and out, and Ricard Raquel is over. Trying to jam it out of the skates. So Winnick finally reaches back and spins it around the dasher, out of the reach of Bernier. Ducks try to keep it in. Cogliano to an uncovered point, however. Lindholm throws it in from the neutral zone. You heard Kent French mention it. The goal differential for the Leafs in the second period this season is a +9, by far their best, as Anderson puts it up on the glass and out. Raquel with a nice little touch pass, and Cogliano finds space into the Toronto zone. The trailer gives it back to him. It's Beauchemin. Cogliano, and a drive that is held by Bernier.
And again, Bernier's positioning important here. The goaltender not very high in his goal crease. So when Cogliano gives it up and then gets it back, Bernier's already there waiting for him. He's sitting right at the top of the crease, just going to fall down. Quick little pushes by the goaltender. He moves right, then left. He's in a great spot.
Seventh-year man who played his junior hockey in the Quebec League in Lewiston, Maine. Originally drafted in the first round, 11th overall by the Kings back in '06. Here's Palmieri, who breaks his stick. Boy, he had set up nicely in the high slot. And the shot just flutters to the corner, as does the shrapnel that is the remainder of his stick. Gets another one, and then jumps right to the far post. Kessler very nearly found him. Leafs are going to be called for icing here, as they did not get the center red line before sending it all the way down.
Another good shift by the Ducks, and they're starting to find those passing lanes in the offensive zone. Unfortunately for Kyle Palmieri, that stick just blew right up on him. A chance to see it right here. Palmieri's always had that very powerful upper body. Gets a lot of torque on that shaft. And the stick just kind of said uncle on that one.
So good at picking the top shelf, too. Remember the game winner in Winnipeg in overtime earlier this season? The goal he scored here tonight. He elevates the puck so quickly. 2 goals in the last 2 games for Kyle Palmieri, and the only one here tonight as the Ducks lead 1-0. We're early in the second period. Bouncing puck taken by Clayton Stoner back in the Anaheim zone. Stoner had 5 hits here on Sunday against the Jets in what was a fairly physical hockey game. Speaking of which, the Leafs lead the league in hits. Panik with a drive as he brings it back in, and that is held to the shoulder by Anderson.
And no problem for Frederik Andersen. You know, Panik is a guy the Leafs grabbed from Tampa. He's got some speed and skill. I don't know what his upside is going to be offensively, but you look at his numbers this year, he does have 7 goals for them. So in a support role, you know, he's been elevated tonight to play with Kadri and Van Riemsdyk, but certainly, ideally, Panik could be a guy on your third line, and you'd probably be quite happy with getting 7 goals out of Richard Panik.
Well, Lightning tried to sneak him through at the end of training camp back to the American Hockey League on waivers, and that's when Toronto plucked him. He's the Leafs version of Cy Young, though. He's got those 7 goals. He has just 1 assist. Fowler from behind the Anaheim goal. Thompson skates by, and now he starts out up the middle of the ice, tipped over to the near side, and Smith-Pelly unable to get a stick on it as Robidas stepped into it. Stefan Robidas, now in his 15th season, hinges it back. He's the plus-minus leader on defense for the Leafs this season, yet he was a frequent scratch at the tail end of the Randy Carlyle regime here. He's been in the lineup all 4 games since Peter Horacek took over. Robidas tried to keep it in up the near boards, fell down, and 3 abreast back come the Ducks. Smith-Pelly slides it over. Fowler joins the rush. His bid deflected to the high glass.
Yeah, Jackman right on the doorstep as well. Just couldn't field that cross-ice pass cleanly enough to consider just dumping it in front of the goal crease to Jackman.
Fowler picks it up behind his own goal. And now Getzlaf shakes and bakes his way to center. Into the Toronto zone, goes wide on the right boards, peels back, looking for a trailer, instead just rims it around. Panir Hashmark Perry gets to it, poked off his stick, but he keeps it alive, only to have it sent back by Franzen. Great job by Perry to keep it in at the line, and then it deflects back out. Santorelli pursuing there. Good stick as Getzlaf frees it back up, cross ice. Perry has Maroon. Great strong save by Bernier, and the rebound iced right on the Anaheim goal. No, it'll go wide. Boy, another golden opportunity for Pat Maroon.
Yeah, it's the persistence of Ryan Getzlaf here in the neutral zone that forces the turnover, picks Phaneuf's pocket, and then a great little cross-ice pass to Perry. Pat Maroon, if he one-times that puck and elevates it, he's got a shot. But again, you see how well-positioned Bernier is. He looked a little bit like Jonathan Quick there, his old counterpart in LA, the way he slid across to protect the lower part of the net.
Bernier made 18 saves in a 2-0 loss up at Staples against his old team on Monday. Final goal was an empty netter. This one off his stick popped straight in the air from Boschman, and he is there to make the catch. Infield fly rule was in effect on that one. You could win a 2015 Honda CR-V on Fan Appreciation Night. That's coming up later on this season here at Honda Center. To be in the hunt, all you have to do is send us a 15-second video and tell us why you deserve the car. AnaheimDucks.com/IWantMyCRV is where you should go for details.
Ducks now have the last 7 quality scoring chances in this hockey game. And so the things have really tipped in their favor. No scoring chances for the Leafs in the last almost 16 minutes of this hockey game. So
the shot totals are along the lines of what the Leafs are looking for. Only 19 shots combined in the game between the two teams, and they played just over 24 minutes as they attend to the ice in the high slot back in the Toronto zone right now. Leafs surrendered only 20 shots in the loss to the Kings on Monday night. That is a stark difference from what they had been giving up. They still, however, are third to last in the league, giving up over 33 shots a game on the year. Their goals against is right there as well, as they are 25th in the league, giving up over 3 goals a game. Bozak finds Kessel with speed on right wing, and his shot gloved by Anderson, who was there waiting.
you know, take that all day. Freddie Anderson is like, okay, you want to take a snapshot from the boards to the top of the circle and let me handle it. I'll be happy to do that. And Phil Kessel kind of shaking his head, and he knows that that is not a play you're ever going to score on. And usually an indication that you're a little bit frustrated about the way this game is kind of unfolding. The Ducks have, they will do whatever they can do to prevent the Leafs from getting those outnumbered attacks that they are so dangerous with.
That was Kessel's first shot on goal tonight, as Gardner gets one through. And Phil Kessel's a guy that will shoot from everywhere. He's one of the top shots on goal men in the entire National Hockey League entering tonight. Vatanen forced to reverse the puck, and it's chopped out by Silverberg. Not quite 5 minutes into the second period, thus far scoreless second period. 1-0 Anaheim. Clarkson finds Panik, who retreats to the line as he waits for reinforcements. Rims it around. Clarkson takes a bump from Cogliano. Reversed, and Stoner finds Getzlaf. Again, Anaheim uses the middle of the ice to clear. Silverberg and Cogliano the other way. Leafs reverse it, and Getzlaf breaks it up below the goal line. Now gets some help down there from Maroon. It popped over top of the goal. Comes to Perry in the slot. He'll hand it off. Lovejoy will take the shot, and that didn't make it to the net. Went off a Toronto defender. Getzlaf recovers again. Perry into the slot. Score! Maroon got a touch on it.
Maroon was there. Cody Franson was there of the Leafs as well. I think this might be Corey Perry's goal. Corey Perry, this is going to feel good for him. Watch him just kind of wheel the top of the circle, throws it towards the net. Yeah, boy. Franson kicks out that right skate, and it goes right between the wickets of Bernier. Let's see if Bernier gives him the death stare after this goal goes in. Where is it? Yeah, there it is. You knew it was coming. What the heck are you doing?
So an own goal, and the Ducks have a 2-0 lead for Corey Perry, his second since his return to the lineup 6 games ago, and his 16th on the season. 2-0 Ducks. Strange bounce off the stanchion in the Anaheim zone. It's pitched up and out by Lovejoy. Rennie Morton goes rink wide, but it was behind Fowler. He lobs it back through the middle, missed Kessler, and Franson uses the boards to clear. Mike Santorelli, 7th-year man out of Northern Michigan, met by Lovejoy as he gets it into the Anaheim zone. Kadri follows up Tries to spin it back. Save made by Anderson, and the rebound went right past Santorelli. Franzen all the way to the point, steps up to keep the play alive. Van Riemsdyk covering the point, takes the shot. That's off the high glass. Palmieri on his backhand as he tries to turn away from Phaneuf. Now does push it ahead. Kessler finds an open fouler. Both teams trying to change. Boy, Lovejoy went up the middle, and that's knocked back and covered. That went off of Connor Carrick's stick and right to Anderson. So the Ducks have doubled their lead here in the second period. A fortuitous bounce for Corey Perry. He and the Ducks now up a pair.
Anaheim Ducks hockey is brought to you by Hyundai. The all-new Sonata is here, only at your Hyundai dealer. Visit buyhyundai.com today.
2-0 Ducks thanks to Corey Perry in his 16th of the season here in the second period. Young Connor Carrick steps in to take the draw for Toronto in the circle to the right of Frederik Andersen. Just the 7th game of the year for young Mr. Carrick.
Well, he hasn't barely played in this game so far, and so Horacek is trying to mix things up a little bit. Both he and Troy Bodie in the opening period played less than 2 minutes. So, you know, this is something that probably Peter Horacek has decided that he is going to go to a short bench relatively early in this one.
No Leo Komarov for the Leafs tonight. He left the game Monday at Staples and did not return with an upper body injury. More All-Star news from earlier today. The captains and the team names, as the teams will be Team Foligno and Team Taves, and the alternate captains have been named as well. And Ryan Getzlaf will be one of the alternates for Jonathan Taves along with Rick Nash.
And remember, they changed the format for the All-Star game where it is a draft of players. So, you know, you can have players from the East and the West playing together on the same team. And I think it's added kind of a fun element to the start of the All-Star game, and I really like the way they have worked that out.
Franzen can't get his shot through, and Stoner backhands it back. Will not go far enough for icing. And Cody Franzen, leading scoring defenseman for the Leafs this season, back to get it. And no one has said that in a while because Dion Phaneuf, year in, year out, has been the man here. Phaneuf has only 2 goals this year. Bozak centers it back, and a point-blank save on Winnick by Anderson.
Great stop by Freddie Anderson. You know, and I've been singing the praises of Bernier deep in the crease and moving well laterally to be well positioned. This is a perfect example of that. Boy, Anderson, lovely positioning by him. He just drives off that left leg, gets into position. Big guy, fills up the net. Winnick can't hit his spot, and he rips it off the shoulder of the Anaheim netminder.
First Toronto grade A scoring opportunity in 18.5 minutes in this game. Now Stoner with a lunging block on Phil Kessel. Winnick gets it back from below the goal line, tries to center it right through Bozak. Franzen slides it over. Phaneuf keeps moving it quickly, and it's Bozak who turns with it. Open is Franzen. He shovels it to the net, tipped over top by Kessel. And Ricard Raquel engaged immediately by Winnick, reverses it to Votman, who keeps it on the dasher. Cogliano pressured by Franzen, works it ahead, but Raquel fanned on it. Leafs can't connect cleanly on passes, and then Anderson is over to make the save again on Kessel.
Boy, he's saving their bacon right here. A couple of bad turnovers, some soft plays down low has led directly to some scoring chances.
And now some fencing between Raquel and Phaneuf after the whistle as the puck went into the bench area.
Let's see how nonchalant Frederik Andersen is. There's very little emotion ever shown by him. Here's again another example. Slides across, even though he's on his knees, because he's 6'4" tall. He keeps those shoulders high, and the top of the net is essentially completely shut down.
Second in the league with 23 wins coming into tonight. Anderson has played the 5th most games of any netminder in the National Hockey League. Tonight, his 36th appearance. We were talking about that all-star rest, Brian. I spoke with Freddie about a week or so ago and talked about the rest he was given when he was given the night off a week ago here against the Rangers. I said, virtually that's a week without playing for you. And we're talking about how much he played in the Swedish Elite League, and whether he had ever played this much in his career.
Well, even if you play a lot of games in the Swedish Elite League, the way their schedule is designed, most of the games are like Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. You get days off at the beginning of the week to kind of regroup and re-energize. It's a whole different animal, the NHL, when sometimes you're playing 4 games a week.
Ducks lead 2-0. Fowler had a good chance a moment ago, steered aside by Bernier. Now he headmans to Getzlaf and gets it back. He'll pitch it in on the backhand, and that one stays in the barn, so Anaheim will go for wholesale changes on the go. Bozak slides it across. Polak angles it into the Anaheim zone, but he misses anyone in white. Kadri now starts back to the neutral zone for Santorelli. He reaches out, swings it down low. Van Riemsdyk leaning hard on Boschman. Kept in by Robidas, and he whips it wide as it drifted past the glove hand of Anderson. Gardner cannot hold the zone, so he'll hinge it across. Robidas fires it back in as the Leafs touch up.
A little bit of a push here from Toronto, who are activating their D. And what a nice play by Kyle Palmieri.
Pulled it off the boards into the middle and then passes it through the legs of Kessler. He tracks it down and cycles it back for Palmieri into the middle of the ice. Bourque comes over to help out. Rennie Bourque had it knocked away, and it's backhanded over top of the goal by Palmieri. Boschma activates, point covered by Palmieri, who fires, tip, just wide, as Bourque was in front. Kessler gets it to the line again. Lindholm misses on the short side, taken off the back of the net by Palmieri. And again, Bourque is there to support. Misses Kessler, but Lindholm gets it to him. Ducks centerman swings it down low. Palmieri has it and skates. He's immediately engaged by Gardner. Dug loose by Rennie Bourque. Bourque fakes one man, then throws it wide of the net. And 2 Duck forwards parked in front, can't track it down. It's angled out by Jake Gardner. Van Riemsdyk the other way. Throws it to the net. It's been a long shift for the Leafs. Van Riemsdyk and Santorelli did not choose to change there. And the Ducks will lob it back into Toronto ice. And Jackman very nearly got to it.
And those are the little things that drive coaches crazy. Boy, second period, long change. You've been trapped in your zone. You get the puck. I don't care if you think you have an opportunity to create a scoring chance. If you're a disciplined team, you get the puck in deep and you get off the ice and get fresh bodies over the boards.
Offside the call here. We're just past the halfway mark of the hockey game. The Ducks have the only goals of the night thus far.
Way through the second period here at Honda Center, where Corey Perry's 16th goal of the year has given the Ducks a 2-0 lead. Corey, how did that puck find its way into the net?
I have no idea, but you shoot the puck on net, good things happen, and that's what I've been trying to do the last couple games.
Corey, appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
All right, Johnny, back up to you.
Thanks, Ken. So we update tonight's Mercedes-Benz Star Watch, and that's how you score a lot of goals. You don't always have to know how it goes in. So far tonight, Perry doesn't know how, but he's got one, and maybe Kessel doesn't know how, he doesn't have any.
They don't ask how.
That's right.
They ask how many. And Corey, the good things happen to scores. I mean, we've seen it over the years with some of the greatest players ever to play this game, that they probably get, the guys that score 40 a year probably get 6 or 7 goals like that every single season.
Puck rimmed around the boards into the Anaheim zone. Bozak kept it in. It's scaled up the glass by Stoner. Gloved down and brought the other way by Jakob Silfverberg. Tipped in by Rickard Rakell, who pressures all the way to the corner. Spins off of Roman Polak and now pursues him behind the net. He gives it to Riley, and Rakell is right there. Just hounding the puck is this line. Cogliano gets in, and the clearing attempt goes off of Stoner and back to neutral ice. As Anaheim touches up, he gets it right back in.
And look at the pressure. Again, it's Cogliano and the speed all over Morgan Riley, and the Leafs having a tough time here.
Anaheim able to change. Nice job. Getzlaf knocks it down and then tries to get it to Cogliano in front. Cogliano wisely will change at the end of a shift. Back to the line. Lovejoy's open. And fresh off the bench, he hands it off to Maroon. Right in front of the rebound, Perry. In comes Maroon again. Brad Watson, the referee, trying to just get out of the way as Maroon cycles it back behind the net for Getzlaf. Perry in front, and unable to redirect was Maroon.
Great pressure here. It all starts with the effort from Getzlaf. Away from the puck, keeping pucks alive.
Maroon chops it to Perry. Right back below the goal line for Maroon. Getzlaf in front for Maroon off the heel of his stick. This is exactly what Bruce Boudreau said he wanted from his team. Said we got to play below the circles, and that's what they've done this entire shift. Fowler holds it in. Perry can't field it cleanly, goes after it. There to pick it up is Kessler. Anaheim has made 2 line changes the whole time in the zone. Here comes Lindholm. His shot over top. Maroon able to hold it in. He'll keep it deep and change again. Perry's been out there for a while, tries to spin off a Pollock. Can't, and Riley uses the glass to clear. This one will go all the way down and be an icing call. As Lindholm had the angle and the fans approved at Honda Center.
What a shift. Great shift by the Ducks. Terrific pressure. Toronto fortunate to escape, and don't be surprised if Horacek doesn't call a timeout here because, boy, tons of pressure, and there it is, the timeout from the Maple Leafs. Bernier with some fine work down low. Very controlled. Here's Corey Perry once, twice. Bernier holds his ground. Maroon can't locate the rebound. Pat Maroon is shaking his head right now. He has had some glorious scoring chances in this game.
So the Leafs do exercise their timeout.
Just that shift alone, John, 4 good scoring chances for the Ducks on that shift. And Toronto's only had 2 scoring chances in the last 25 minutes of this hockey game. So the ice starting to tilt a little bit in favor of Anaheim, and Horacek right now they are just hanging on, trying to keep it within a couple of goals.
Bruce Boudreau has to like what he has seen so far tonight from his team. But the way this season has gone, you know he's thinking, I'd love a couple more.
Remember what he said, play below the circles in Toronto zone. That's our game plan tonight.
Winnick knocks it away. Boy, at least looked offside because they were, as Kessel was a little too eager at the blue line.
Talking about shift length, we were commenting on that one sequence where the Leafs were trapped in their zone, then they got the puck and decided to try and make an offensive play. Mike Santorelli was on the ice for 1 minute and 41 seconds in that shift. And coaches want their players on the ice for 40 seconds. They're forwards, 50 seconds max. Once you get above that threshold, the lactic acid in your legs really prevent you from doing the job defensively. And that's what teams that give up lots of goals against, it runs rampant through the locker room. Guys just stay out a little bit too long, and at the end of shifts, they give up a lot of goals.
Sounds like a men's league shift. And a short one at that.
Who are you kidding, John? We're not on the ice that long in
very
men's league
short
game.
men's league shift.
I prefer the 40-second shift myself.
Ducks able to break out of their own zone. Smith Pelly trying to get it across to Thompson as he joined the play. Jacklin went right to the front of the net, and the pressure on Jake Gardner. Now Robidoux treated very rudely by Devontae Smith Pelly. And the Leafs just keep putting it below the goal line in their own zone. Now Van Riemsdyk reaches, brings it out of the zone, and he's given a pretty good jolt by Nate Thompson. And again, the Leafs offside. Anaheim's done a great job holding the blue line as they lead by 2. Bruce Boudreau's team leads 2-0. They haven't played since Sunday, one of those rare opportunities with 2 days off or more between games, but it hasn't really manifested itself so far this season. Anaheim's won only 7 of the 15 games, yet when they get in a rhythm, Brian, in all rest of their games, they've won 20 of 28.
It's counterintuitive, isn't it? You think with more rests that their record would be better. I will say that the majority of times that they do have those 2+ days off, there's usually a complete day off away from the rink. So it's not like they're always practicing in order to get prepared for the next game. And there are certain things in the collective bargaining agreement with the players and the league where there are mandatory days off each month. And most of the time, coaches try and find those holes in the schedule where they have 2 or more days in between games.
Franson at the line slides it over. Dion Phaneuf lets it go, and trying to get a glove on it was Anderson, but it's tipped all the way to the near side. Behind the defense, Perry's onside. Score! What a pass by Getzlaf. He didn't even look. It was on the backhand. He threw it about 95 feet, and away went Corey Perry.
Rolling puck. Very few players have the strength of a Ryan Getzlaf to throw it into an area, but that's what he does. Takes a little peek. It hops off of Franzen. Franzen was saying that Corey Perry was offside, and the linesman was there, immediately waved it onside, and he beats Bernier low to the glove. It's a perfect shot, about a foot off the ice. So it's over the pad, underneath the catching glove, and Perry makes it 3-0 Ducks.
Second of the night for Perry, number 17 on the season. And Kessel has it poked away as he reaches the Anaheim blue line. What an assist by Getzlaf. And Franson has to go back to get it behind the Toronto goal. Second assist of the night for Getzlaf. No surprise, he has had a helper over Perry. Now it's Raquel. Cycling down low, Cogliano rolls it right into the goal crease, and it's covered by Bernier.
Now, good pressure again. You can see what the Ducks are doing here in this game, and especially their second, third, and fourth lines. It is just go right at the defenseman every time they get the puck or seem to have control. It doesn't mean that they're going to be able to get it out of the defensive zone. The Ducks are on top of them, and they're coughing it up again and again and again.
Thompson steps in to take the draw. Nate now over 53% on the season on the dot, because he's been over 57% the last 11 games. Lindholm behind the net, bothered by Bodie, and it trickles right into the goal crease, covered by Anderson. Brian, we were talking about practice, and there's been a lot of talk about the practice opportunities for the Ducks during this homestand. I asked Bruce Boudreau yesterday after the practice, I said, when you constitute a pure practice day, how many do you have left? He said, we got 4 in the month of January. He said, from there, the rest of the season, we have 4 more. What he's talking about are days when he has a full practice and a full day off for the team to recover that isn't in proximity to a game. And coaches talk so much about practice, especially once the season gets going. This is a very important time of year for Bruce Boudreau and his coaching staff, because down the stretch, just not that many opportunities.
Well, and you try and manage your practice schedule around, what's coming up in the weeks ahead. The All-Star break is right around the corner. And so you're not going to give your players too many days off, knowing that there's going to be 3 days off in the very near future for the All-Star break.
Now, you mentioned the mandated days off, and we're going to get a penalty here against Anaheim. Looks like a hook against Kessler. But the CBA does require a certain amount of days off, and then, of course, travel, where those practices are concerned, gets in the way as well.
Hooking call against Kessler, and it's a battle along the boards. But he spins around Nazem Kadri right there, and the call against Ryan Kessler will give Toronto their first power play chance. The Leafs have got 31 power play goals. Their power play sits 10th overall in the NHL. So this is their opportunity to get back in this game with under 5 minutes remaining here in the second period.
Yeah, they were 1 for 3 at Air Canada Center against the Ducks a month ago. And this is where Peter Horacek puts the big line together again, as he puts Kessel and Van Riemsdyk out to either flank of Bozak with the extra man. Points are covered by Phaneuf and Franson, and Phaneuf just touches it over for Kessel. Takes a look. Van Riemsdyk and Bozak go in front. He flips it to the net, and it's swatted away by Vatanen. Kessel again. Works the left wing boards, passes it across, but he missed Franson. Right back for Kessel in front, looking for Van Riemsdyk, who leads the team with 8 power play goals, but it's cleared away and it hit the linesman.
The fans aren't happy because that puck would have went the length of the ice. The Ducks would have been able to get some fresh legs out there, but again, the second period, they're kind of trapped now. Now they get the clear.
Yep, Thompson gets it all the way down, and 4 fresh penalty killers as Bernier is forced to play it behind the net. Still over a minute remaining in the penalty to Ryan Kessler. 3.5 to go second period. The Ducks have added a pair. They lead 3-0. Bozak on right wing trying to cut into the middle of the ice. Fowler poked it away. Franson holds it in, but his cross-ice pass misses Phaneuf and clears the zone. Cody Franson hands it off. Dion Phaneuf, who leads his team in ice time, hands it off. Bozak in on the right boards. Phaneuf spinning Fowler around, but the puck picked up and iced by Ben Lovejoy.
Yeah, good job by the penalty killers so far, cutting off those passing lanes in the defensive zone, and when they have had the opportunities to clear it, and they've been able to clear it 200 feet.
Kadri flips it in. Clarkson unable to get around Lindholm. Battles the puck around, and now it's a 50-50 puck. Gardner gets to it first. The Minnesota native brings it all the way out high, pressured by Thompson. Just threw it to the corner. Lindholm tries to turn on the backhand. Spun around by Clarkson. Jams it ahead. Thompson, nice play. got it into the middle of the ice, and here's Smith-Pelly shorthanded. He had Fowler with him. Fowler goes for a change. So Devontae on his own as he just flips it in. Penalty is over. Out of the box, Kessler, the Leafs without a shot on goal during that man advantage. Boschman bodies his man up. The clearing attempt by Getzlaf, blocked back into the zone. Ducks now 8 for 8 on the penalty kill over the course of the last 3 games. Game clock winds to 2 minutes to go here in the second. Polak holds the point as Perry tried to sneak by, and a penalty coming up for Francois Boschman as he upends Richard Panik in front.
Well, Boschman gets the stick in between the feet of Panik, and he's going to get the legs move, and watch right there. That was a good job of selling that call, and the Leafs go right back onto the power play. So a tripping call against Boschman. And boy, oh boy, you know, we were talking with Bruce Boudreau penalties. They've become an issue for the Ducks as of late. And you asked him, John, what the target is in a game, and he says, I want to keep the minor penalties under 3 a game. If we can do that, we've got a really good job, or a really good chance of winning the games and not allowing the opponent's power play to beat us. So here's the second power play from the Leafs, but it comes right on the heels of their opening power.
Coming into tonight, the Ducks one of 5 teams in the league that have been penalized for over 500 minutes so far this year. Phaneuf's shot squeezed by Anderson. 10 seconds gone in the penalty to Boschman.
And it is a little bit surprising. I mean, Anaheim has a big, tough team, but they're not a team that has dropped the gloves a lot this season. And so it is surprising when you hear that number, the number of minutes of penalties that have been levied against the Ducks this year. I will say this, their penalty killers are much more of a threat shorthanded than they have been in years past. 6 shorthanded goals so far.
And the Leafs have given up 6 shorthanded goals this year as well. Remember, the Ducks had that one game here against San Jose when they were penalized for 90 minutes in that game. That's almost 1/5 of their season total. Leafs able to hold the zone, work it around. Kessel down low, again looking for Van Riemsdyk in front, but they can't connect with him. Bozak picked up by Stoner. Minute 15 to go on the power play into the line. Phaneuf using everything he can to keep it in. Bozak out of the corner. All the way across. Franzen can't field the pass cleanly. Ducks unable to clear the zone, and they got a tired bunch of penalty killers.
This is the point where the penalty killers are fatigued. Back-to-back power plays, second period. They're
Kessel
trapped. They need to clear badly.
Kessel can't get it through. It's carefully steered all the way down by Thompson, and a pivotal change on the penalty kill will happen for Anaheim. About a 5-second difference between the penalty clock and the game clock for the remainder of the period as Lovejoy goes down low. Doesn't get much on it though. Tried to clear. Panik whips it right through the slot. Gardner steps to the top of the left circle to keep it alive. Hands it off. Kadri back to the line. Has Riley. Can't find the lane. Fires it wide on purpose. Panik moves it back out. Gardner spins away, and it's chopped off the stick by Cogliano. Came right to the goal mouth, and it's punched away by Anderson. Final 15 seconds of the period as the shot goes wide from Kadri. Kept alive by Gardner, and it goes through Riley out to neutral ice. Only 5 seconds in the period. Gardner looks up and then misses Kadri on the wing. That'll do it. The period comes to a close, and only 4 seconds left in the Leaf power play when the third begins.
Well, the only time that Toronto is getting scoring chances has been on this power play at the end of the period. So, you know, I think the message from the coaching staff will be pretty clear here. Boy, keep your feet moving, keep sticks on the ice, don't take any minor penalties, and this game looks like it is in full control of the Ducks.
Anaheim in good position through 40 minutes of play, leading 3-0 over the... Anaheim leads 3-0 as we get set to start the third at Honda Center. When the Ducks were in Toronto on the 16th of December, the Maple Leafs were a +14 in goal differential in the third period. In the 13 games since then, they're -18. This has not been a good period for the Leafs over the course of the last month, and they're going to need a big third period here tonight. They had 4 seconds of power play time to begin the period. That's over. And the Ducks now 2 for 2 on the penalty kill tonight. Perry to the corner, kicks it back. Getzlaf can't return the favor. And Maroon pursues Winnick as he lobs it out center ice, and that was played by a high stick by Santorelli. So the first whistle of the period gives us a chance, Brian, to look at the Eastern Conference playoff picture.
Well, it really drives home the point about the slide that the Toronto Maple Leafs are on right now. Now 5 points behind the Rangers and Bruins for the final wild card position in the Eastern Conference. They're on obviously a tough road trip here. They will move on and they will take on the Sharks after this one tonight, after having no luck against the Kings. A lot of teams will tell you that swing through California, they're not really looking at it and looking forward to it very much based on recent history.
Well, the Rangers did okay with it last week as they came out and got the trifecta against the Ducks, Kings, and Sharks. But after that game tomorrow up in San Jose, on the way back to Toronto, Peter Horachek's Chargers will stop in St. Louis to play the Blues, and that's no easy task either.
Well, not the way they're playing. I mean, they're one of the hotter teams right now as they're starting to all of a sudden pour in goals. Some of the players that they had, like Backus and Oshie, who were off to slow starts, have made it all up in about a week's time.
Alex Steen has had multiple point games the last 4 games. They put 7 on the Sharks twice within a week. The Blues are playing very well, to say the least. And the Leafs have not been a good road team this season. There's 2 games under 500 in 19 games away from Air Canada Center, 7-9-3. Anderson with a little miscommunication behind the net, and he gets a break as Cogliano able to get a stick on him. He and Silverberg across the line, drop pass to Lovejoy, tees it up, left pad saved by Bernier, and then off the side of the net as it came right back. Just a minute and a half gone in the third period as Lovejoy shovels it around the dasher. It'll come all the way near side for Kessler. Behind the net looking for Cogliano, that's intercepted. Gardner stepped in the way and moves it up. Van Riemsdyk gets it out. Clayton Stoner back to get it. Just a little feather pass for Sami Vatanen. Vatanen moves it ahead. Kessler gains the line, pulls it in. Oh, that one nearly fooled Bernier. Just got a piece.
That was a heck of a shot by Kessler. I mean, that's his favorite. That little snapshot. And we're learning about Kessler that he just loves that stick side on goaltenders as well.
Palmieri has one, Perry has the other 2. The Ducks lead 3-0 in case you're just joining us. Third period just underway at Honda Center. David Booth rims it around. Anderson again having trouble with it, and he gets a little help there from Rennie Bourque, who rims it hard around, but it's held in. Franzen over to Phaneuf, and that's blocked on the way. Comes all the way out to Cody Franzen.
Boy, the Leafs sending 2 players now to the top of the goal crease. A double screen set in front, and Anaheim a little fortunate that the Leafs blue liner is unable to feed that puck through to the front of the net.
Both teams go for changes, and waiting back in his own end for fresh charges, Cody Franzen. Native of Salmon Arm, British Columbia, moves it ahead and through the middle. It's tipped into the Anaheim zone. Boschman careful over for Lindholm, who draws the forecheck of Trevor Smith. Or excuse me, it's Richard Panik. Panik lays it off. And Troy Bodie played 57 games as a Duck over the parts of 3 seasons. Puts the pressure on down low. Smith-Pelly lobs it to center, and it's redirected in by Tim Jackman. Jackman pursues all the way below the goal line. Moves it along, and Connor Carrick is there. Up the boards, his clearing attempt fails. Comes back to Lovejoy, who slides it over. Fowler retreats to the point and just sends it around the dasher.
Well, you can see Anaheim playing a careful start to this third period. They're putting pucks in good spots. They're being really careful, quite honestly. They're not activating their defense as much.
Toronto changing, so room for Getzlaf. His pass middle of the ice, tipped deep by Pat Maroon. He's all over Polak, who just reverses it away. And now it's Kadri. Bodie gets it back to him into the Anaheim zone. Nazem Kadri shot off the wing, deflected wide by Sami Vatanen. Vatanen playing in his 100th NHL game here tonight. Now joins the play in the Toronto zone. Maroon swipes it back to him. Sammy slides it over. Stoner didn't handle it cleanly, so he puts it down low. Maroon trying to chip it along for Getzlaf, who has 2 assists tonight. He sneaks free, and around the boards it comes to Vatanen. Sammy serves it back behind the net, and this is Anaheim again playing below the circles, and they're content to do it. Leafs finally come up with it, and Kadri up the left side into the Anaheim zone. Again, a long shift for the Leafs, who don't change. Kadri's been out there for a long time, and he stays out again as Morgan Riley headmans it to him. He tips it deep, and now he'll go to the bench for a change. Behind the net, off the bench, Van Riemsdyk slides it back. Robidoux across for Riley. Wrist shot, deflects off the high glass as Boschman got in the way. Moves it ahead, 3-on-2 are the Ducks. Cogliano across for Silverberg. Silverberg pulls the trigger, save. Bernier drops it and covers.
A patient period by the Ducks. They wait until Toronto gambles and gets caught. And then that results in this clear-cut 3-on-2 break. Puck goes wide. You can see Raquel can't get the center lane drive going early enough, and a good defensive play, quite honestly, by Bozak, who was able to get back and get into a passing lane. No real option there for Silverberg other than to shoot the puck, try and force Bernier to do something with the rebound. He's able to do that.
16,741 tonight here at Honda Center. Not quite as festive as it was Sunday night, but that's fairly understandable. I was saying before the game, Brian, on Sunday, as close to a playoff-like atmosphere as I've ever seen here at Honda Center for a game that wasn't a playoff game.
Yeah, it was emotional. I talked to fans afterwards that said that they cried during the ceremony. They were formally, I guess, say goodbye to Teemu Selanne, even though he had retired. I think it hit a lot of fans in that game that they weren't going to see this guy on the ice, even though they haven't seen him all season this year.
I thought one of the most poignant moments was when the fans got the chant of one more year going again. Something the Ducks and their fans have been accustomed to every year late in the season for so long.
7 years.
Yeah. They got the chant down pat, that's for sure. 3-0 Anaheim, just past the 6-minute mark of the third period as Polak hammers it off the near boards. Van Riemsdyk gets a touch into the Anaheim zone. Fowler careful, has Bozak all over him, and Bozak takes it away. Back to the point, Polak tees it up, and a save by Anderson. That is his 21st of the night, and Anaheim able to clear. Now Gardner brings it into the Anaheim zone, and he stood up along the near boards by Lovejoy. Lovejoy had half a dozen hits in the win here against Winnipeg on Sunday. Chipped ahead by Jackman and unable to track it down was Smith-Pelly. Morgan Riley turns on the Jets. Boy, he can skate. Into the Anaheim zone, the defenseman all the way to the goal line before he loses it, and it's pitched to the high glass by Botman. Centering pass ricochets over to the near side, and Riley, as he retreats to the point, able to keep it in. Stoner brings it back for Raquel. He's denied at the line and then followed up. Stoner gets it deep. Boy, bad bounce out of that Zamboni corner, and Phaneuf to the rescue because Bernier was behind the goal.
No, the Leafs defensemen are coming now. They are involved in this rush almost every time they bring the puck up the ice. You see one of them in on the rush.
Connor Carrick fell to his knees, tried to get it in front, but Getzlaf starts back 3-on-2. Over for Perry, and it goes right through him. To the front of the net, Phaneuf knocks it away. Maroon gives it back to Getzlaf. Remember the battles Getzlaf and Phaneuf used to have when Dion was in Calgary? Here's a giveaway, stepping into the middle. Boschman got a stick on it, wipes it right back to the front of the net, and Franzen covers up. Bodie for Booth, who lobs it in and pursues, it's Daniel Winnick. Rest of the Leafs changing behind the play, and Getzlaf goes rink wide for Corey Perry, joined by Rennie Bourque. Perry cuts to the middle, takes a shot, deflected high in the air and over the goal and out of the reach of Bernier. Perry follows up. Bourque tries to get it to him, but it's taken away by Gardner.
Yeah, good pressure again. Kessler all over him.
Santorelli turned away at the blue line, now gets a second chance into the Anaheim zone on his off wing. The right-hand shot peels it back. Winnick's shot punched away by the blocker of Anderson. Kept alive, Gardner activates and can't get the pass from Kadri because Palmieri forced the issue, sending it all the way back. Bernier had to be careful. as Palmieri wasn't slowing down. Lovejoy pinches, and on the back check, Bourque takes it away from Booth. Rennie Bourque tees it up. It's deflected wide of the Toronto goal, and Anaheim finishes changes.
That was a strange one. That long-range shot hits a Leaf stick in the neutral zone, and Bernier was committed in one direction and almost was fishing a fourth puck out of the back of his net.
Well, nearly halfway through the third, let's take a look at our Hyundai game summary. Kyle Palmieri got things started on a bit of a strange goal on the power play in the first period, and then the Twins took over in the second period with both goals, and the captain assisting on each.
We were looking back and I was thinking about it. Ryan Getzlaf against the Toronto Maple Leafs never scored a goal against the Leafs and has not had much success. And I'm sure that with his family all back in Canada, that he probably is very aware of that fact. And the Ducks, a lot of them that I talked to this morning said, it's time. I mean, there's no real explanation for the fact that Toronto had won 6 consecutive games against the Ducks going into this one tonight.
Stutter step. Smith-Pelly goes to the backhand and misses on the short side. Vatanen holds it in and finds a wide open Clayton Stoner waiting for traffic. Now steps into it, tipped just wide. And that went off the stick of Morgan Riley, and it broke his stick. So the Leafs defenseman without a stick. And a break for him as Smith brings it the other way. Give and go with Clarkson is broken up. And a penalty, I believe, coming up.
No, we have an injured player,
Oh, it's
John.
David Booth. Yes, he's hurt back behind the play. Kyle Raymond, the referee, helping him to the Toronto bench. And the 9-year veteran shaken up. We'll step aside halfway through the third. Anaheim Ducks hockey is brought to you by Honda, official vehicle of the National Hockey League.
Well, here's the play with David Booth and Sammy Vatanen. Stop it right here, guys. So the puck is rolling along the dasher board. Vatanen knows that he's probably going to get hammered into the board. So this is a defensive measure by Vatanen. Watch him come up with the elbow. He throws the elbow. It's right on the button. It hits Booth right on the chin. But Vatanen is not looking at Booth. So he's not looking at his target. He thinks he's going to get hammered. He instinctively throws the elbow up. It nails David Booth, and Booth, who has had a history of concussions, goes back to the Toronto Maple Leaf locker room.
Yeah, Booth missed 54 games back in the 09-10 season when he was a member of the Florida Panthers due to a concussion. So certainly will be a concern as he's looked over by the Maple Leaf medical staff. Just past the halfway mark of the third period, Anaheim 3, Toronto 0. And Polak goes up the middle of the ice to no avail as that was denied by Stoner, and Raquel throws it off the high glass, then off the side of the net. Cogliano chops it in front, and Silverberg nearly got there. Stoner retreats and uses the boards. Swept back in on the backhand by Silverberg. Gardner lays it back, and Polak flips it in on the backhand. It rolls right to Anderson, who is careful to scoop and hold with the glove.
Well, the Leafs have put all of their big eggs back into the one basket here, trailing in the third. So Van Riemsdyk, Bozak, and Kessel have been back together for their last couple of shifts. And Anaheim has been very comfortable with Raquel, Cogliano, and Silverberg opposing that trio, John. So Boudreau obviously showing a lot of confidence in three guys who are playing pretty well.
Case Ducks fans are wondering, a couple of former Ducks who have played big roles this year for the Leafs, Joffrey Lupul and Peter Holland, not in the lineup tonight. Lupul, who has been so injury prone throughout his entire career, out now with a lower body injury. He's missed the last 6 games, and on the season has missed a total of 17. Peter Holland missing his 6th game due to an upper body injury, and they are both on injured reserve for the Leafs, who come here tonight not having scored a goal Monday in Los Angeles, and now find themselves 9 minutes and 6 seconds left in the third, still without a goal here in Southern California.
Horchek shaking his head right now, and I agree with both him and Daniel Winnick. That was an icing call against Toronto, where Winnick had a decided edge on the Anaheim player going back for the touch-up. The linesmen, of course, we've talked about this, they got to make their decision the moment the first player gets to the hash mark, whether or not it's going to be an icing call or not.
Perry below the goal line with Maroon. Out to the line. Lindholm now just feeds it back below the goal line. Jammed into the middle of the ice by Boschman. Glove down, Maroon gets it to Getzlaf. Fights off the stick check of Winnick, gets it in front to Perry, who very nearly got the hat trick. Now Lindholm, middle of the ice, lets it go, just missed. And another puck retrieval for Maroon. And the pass to the point eludes Lindholm. Anderson rockets out to play it and tries to stretch it to center. Didn't get a lot on it, but it's brushed ahead. Good effort there by Pat Maroon. Trevor Smith pulls up inside the blue line, kicked away by the right pad of Anderson. Bodie down low, loses his footing. Gets up, Smith tries to give it back to him, taken away by Kessler, and he finds Palmieri. Speed up the wing for Kyle Palmieri. Trying to get around Morgan Riley, chips it to the corner, Robidas is over, and curls it around the boards for Bodie. 7:50 to go in the game, 3-0 Anaheim, a thus far scoreless third period. Fowler finds Palmieri, changing speeds as he brings it up the right boards. Now flanked by a pair of Maple Leafs in the corner. And Rennie Bork digging with it. Comes free, Kessler can't get a stick on it, neither can Palmieri as it was airborne, and Smith just angles it back into Anaheim ice. Both teams will go for changes. Stoner hinges over to play it, and now seeing that the mates are coming over the boards, slows it down for Vatanen. His pass through the middle, steered in by Cogliano, and he'll race after it. All over Gardner, he gets a good bump on him. Puck along the boards, and Cogliano gets it to Raquel. Raquel's bid squirts over. Vatanen trying to get it back to Cogliano in front, that was broken up. Leafs try to clear up the boards, knocked down. Silverberg and Cogliano with some good work. They double team Gardner, and Silverberg behind the net gives it right back. Cogliano in front, went off the leg of Raquel.
Good quick puck movement again. Boy, Cogliano's had a strong game, even though he has not had a ton of scoring chances in this one. He's made some good plays with the puck.
The Ducks have really stuck to the game plan tonight, haven't they, Brian? I mean, they've done exactly what Bruce Boudreau wanted. He told us that while he knew what he wanted his team to do offensively, he also said we haven't been that good defensively the last 8 or 9 games. Well, I gotta think he's pleased with this effort.
Freddie Anderson had to be good early in the first maybe 5-6 minutes of this hockey game, but boy, there have not been many scoring chances for the Toronto Maple Leafs the rest of this game.
Just a shade over 6 to go in the third as Winnick misses on the near side. Smith-Pelly protecting the puck as he goes to the corner, slides it over, misses Jackman, but it'll vacate the zone.
And a body language is an accurate indication of a team's mental state. And Toronto they don't look too healthy right now, quite honestly. I mean, just the body language, they look like a team that's defeated in this game so far.
A couple of good short passes in the defensive zone, and that enables Lindholm to skate away. Across the line for Jackman, the Ducks are offside. 5.5 to play, third period still 3-0 Anaheim. Anaheim Ducks hockey is brought to you by Kia. Visit mysocalkia.com to learn more. Corey Perry's got 2 of the 3 tonight, Brian. He very nearly had a hat trick.
He sure did. Just kind of snuck around behind the net, tried to jam it in the post. Looked like Cody Franza may have got a stick on that just at the very last second. This will put a little bit more jump in that step, John. A 2-goal game, and got a feeling we might see a fair bit of Corey Perry down the stretch here, as Bruce Boudreau would love to help him get a hat trick.
There he is on the ice. He's got 2 hat tricks already this season, including one on opening night. And he goes right to the front of the net, but can't get a redirect on that one. Fowler's shot was about 5 feet off the ice. He's in front, looking for Maroon, but that's tipped away. And Lovejoy mishandles, flips it back in, so Anaheim has to get onside. And then Perry tripped up at the blue line. I believe he collided with Winnick. Play goes on with just under 5 to play. Puck comes to Corey as he comes back into the play, gets center red and gets it deep. And now it's covered at the side of the goal by Bernier. A reminder, stay with us after the game. Ducks Live is always brought to you by our good friends at Mazda. We'll look back at this one, get the reaction from the locker room. as well as look ahead. At the end of that last shift, Corey Perry just got a little tangled up at the blue line with Daniel Winnick.
And you can see, John, right? I mean, that says it right there, that he's not at 100%, that he's being careful. Oh, boy, what a stop.
Palmieri's shot changed direction off a Leaf defender, and Bernier with maybe his best of the night.
Face-off win. Kessler gets it. There's the puck, and boy, it's Franson again. Bernier's going to be looking at Cody Franson. And we'll have a little discussion after this game, I'm
Will
sure.
he even look at him? I mean, there's the stink eye, and then there's the look away. Phaneuf from behind the goal feeds it back out center ice. Ducks try to counter back, and it's chopped in by Kyle Palmieri. Getzlaf and Perry with multiple point nights. Perry with 2 goals, Getzlaf 2 assists. Palmieri with a goal for the second straight game. And Anaheim leads 3-0. Frederick Anderson with 25 saves at the other end. And a penalty coming up here. And it's going to go against the Ducks. Phaneuf got tangled with Kessler. They both go down. They're both slow to get up, and it's going to be Kessler's penalty when the Ducks touch up. Extra man on is Bernier to the bench for the Leafs. Right to the doorstep. It's Van Riemsdyk. That turned away by Anderson. Back to the line. Franzen's shot goes wide. Comes off the near boards, and Kessel can't reach it. It's touched up by Cogliano. 3:35 to play in the game. The Leafs will be on the power play when we return. Well, there is tonight's Land Rover player of the game, Corey Perry, with his 16th and 17th of the season.
Not much question about that. Corey Perry gets a break on his first one, just throws it towards the front of the net. It's off the foot of a defender. And not much chance for the goaltender Bernier. And this is vintage Perry. Open ice, head up. Even looks at his stick blade or at the puck and just rips it off the corner. Ryan Kessler, you see him flexing that right leg, went down awkwardly along with Dion Phaneuf. He was given a holding penalty. So Leaf power play, their last gasp opportunity here.
It's their third of the night as Lindholm and Boschma in the corner able to work it loose, and it comes to Getzlaf, who takes his time and hits the post at an empty net. As Bernier's on the bench, and it's a 6-on-4 for the Leafs, and swept wide by Nate Thompson. Franzen drops it off, and now Getzlaf wants to pressure Phaneuf, but he'll retreat. Half a minute gone, and the penalty to Kessler.
We don't see a lot of Corey Perry killing penalties. Might we see him here?
Chipped out along the boards by Boschma. Phaneuf plays it across. Franzen's pass is tipped to the corner. And Boschman on the backhand trying to go up the middle. That was blocked. Falls to his knees and up the wall. It's held in. Phaneuf's wrist shot. Tipped on the way, and Anderson hangs on.
Good stop by Anderson. He just swallows up that rebound with a number of Leafs on the doorstep. Here was the chance for Ryan Getzlaf, shooting all the way from his own blue line. And he misses the Ducks' 4th goal by just a couple of inches.
1:08 left in the Leafs power play. 2:43 to go in the game. Toronto trying to get one on the board to make it interesting down the stretch here. 3-0 Anaheim, and the face-off to the right of Frederick Anderson. Getzlaf to oppose Tyler Bozak. And they tie one another's sticks up, and it's kicked loose. Fowler, and off the glass, it's rocketed the length of the ice. Wide of the net by Ben Lovejoy.
Good job by Getzlaf. I mean, he did not even try and touch that puck with his stick. Tied up the stick of the center Bozak and just overpowered him. Used his feet to win that draw.
Gardner leaves it for the trailer, and Cogliano tries to set up Smith-Pelly. His bid is blocked. Of course, the Ducks being shorthanded, they can shoot at that empty net from anywhere. No fear of icing, at least not for the next 35 seconds. Riley up the middle. Pulls up. Anaheim just won't give up the blue line. Anderson, boy, you wonder if he was thinking about it. He handles the puck so well, but instead he sets it up for his D.
He's thinking about it. I guarantee
I was thinking about it.
3-0 lead. You know, you can.
Time for
this
it.
is the time for a goaltender to take a shot at the open net in a game like this.
You and I have seen him in practice. He can shoot at the length of the ice, no problem.
He can elevate the puck way past the far blue line. We've seen him do it a number of times.
The Leafs appear to be offside there, but they turn it over. Silverberg has an empty net, and he misses. The penalty is now over. Kessler out of the box. Minute and a half to go in the game. Now 6-on-5 with no goaltender as Gardner sneaks it up the far wing. Clarkson trying to tie up Stoner. They go to the corner after Santorelli is there. It pops straight up in the air. Nobody seemed to know where it was. Back to the point. Franson gets it to Phaneuf. Tipped by Clarkson and a save by Anderson. He makes another save. Perry's got it. And he'll hit the empty net. Center cut. Hat trick.
Corey Perry should go thank Ryan Getzlaf and Jakob Silverberg for missing the open net, because that's the only reason why the Leaf goaltender was still out of the goal net.
8th career hat trick for Corey Perry, his 3rd this season.
That bisects the 2 goalposts. That is dead center. Corey Perry takes over the goal-scoring lead for the Ducks with goal number 18, and he admires it on the overhead scoreboard.
Well, the fans were waiting as the Chapeaus continue to rain down on the ice here at Honda Center. They were ready and waiting. 4-0 the Ducks with 1:07 to go in regulation. And they're going to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs for the first time in 7 games. The Leafs continue to look for their first goal in Southern California. They may have to wait till tomorrow night in San Jose to try to just get one in California, period.
It's been a long time since the Ducks have had a game like this, where they've been able to relax and just play the 3rd period. Was now chasing the Nashville Predators for the top position in the National Hockey League. Anaheim gets it done. Now 9-2, by the way, in their last 11 games here at Honda Center. So they said at the outset of this regular season we wanted to reestablish ourselves as a dominant team at home. They're going to go to 13-5-3 at Honda Center this season. That's pretty darn dominant.
Yeah, overall, it's going to be their 14th win in their last 19 games. Riley's shot blocked, lays in the slot. Jackman lost his stick, just runs over Bodie. Robidas got it through. That was a changeup deflected, and a good right pad save by Anderson. Panik brings it back in. He's on his own. Gets it back from Bodie. Rifles it right through the slot. Boy, there are broken sticks all over the place in the Anaheim zone right now. Stoner, who just picked up an assist, along with Frederik Andersen on the Perry goal, now has it in the corner and lobs it up the wall. Robidas doesn't know where it is. It's in his skates. Chipped past him by Silverberg. And only 15 seconds remain. And the fans start to come to their feet. The Maple Leafs now over 121 minutes without scoring a goal. And Frederik Andersen has his 2nd shutout of the season as they defeat Toronto tonight 4-0.
Well, this was a full 60-minute game that Bruce Boudreau got from his charges tonight. And the superstar scorer, Corey Perry, looks like he is back. Still not 100%, but 3 goals on the night for Perry. I thought Ryan Getzlaf had a sensational game as well tonight for the Ducks. If not for the first 5-6 minutes of this hockey game, it was total domination by Anaheim tonight.
For the first time in their last 12 wins in this building, the Ducks win by more than a goal, and they silenced the few in blue after the early going. 4-0 the final. The Ducks beat the Leafs. Stay with us. Ducks Live is next.